Hey everyone, today on People Now, Alex Trebek's kids are sharing some sweet memories of their dad and explain how he is quite the handyman in honor of Father's Day being around the corner. Tyler Perry is our People cover star this week, and he pens an exclusive and powerful message about racial injustice and the world he wants for his son. And Jemima is getting a rebrand in order to make progress toward racial equality. We have the details. Andrea Day is here talking about her powerful new song. Now she's inspiring people to love each other. Kelly Clarkson is opening up in this week's People about her shocking divorce and how she's moving forward with her kids. Plus, what's that first date gonna look like when we're all out of quarantine?
COVID test results.
Sherri Shepherd is here talking about dating post-pandemic, how she and her son are doing in isolation, and she fills us in on her hilarious show, Mr. Iglesias. All that and more today on People Now. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to People Now. Hope you're having a good Wednesday so far. Halfway through the week, we can do it. I'm Andrea Boehlke here in Wisconsin. We have a lot to get to today in the show, starting off with a really uplifting story from one of my favorite TV hosts. We begin with this. Father's Day is Sunday, and in honor of it, Alex Trebek's children are reflecting on their loving dad. In a blog post shared by his wife, Jean, Trebek's three kids, Matthew, Emily, and Nikki from a previous marriage, share some of their most cherished childhood memories of the Jeopardy host. They also shared the traits they inherited from him. According to Emily and Nikki, they inherited his passion for organization. They also listed the attributes they admire most about their dad. Matthew says he admires his father's persistence when it comes to solving challenges. For Emily, it's Trebek's unshakable determination. And for Nikki, she admires her father's generosity and humility, even as he battled a pancreatic cancer diagnosis. She says, I personally experienced him writing hundreds of thousands of thank you notes while he battled for his life. It's truly astounding. But not only is Trebek truly kind, he's also quite the handyman. His family cites his fixer-upper abilities as one of his best skills. Matthew says he's great at staying focused and fixing sprinklers. Emily, who now has a career flipping houses, recalls him saving the day quite a few times at her own home. When she needs him for an issue around the house, he'll be over within the hour with the perfect tool. Nikki, who works on Jeopardy alongside her father, says Trebek is simply really good at his profession. She says people don't really understand what it takes to do what he does. He is meticulous, and I feel very honored to have been able to watch him behind the scenes all of these years. She sweetly calls him the best in the business. T.I.'s daughter, Deja, is opening up about the comments her father has made about her gynecologist appointments. On Monday's episode of T.I. and Tiny Friends and Family Hustle, Deja reacted to those comments, saying it made things uncomfortable for her because she was on vacation with her father in a foreign country at the time, so she had to be around him and see him. To refresh her memory, last year in the now-deleted Ladies Like Us podcast episode, T.I. discussed making yearly trips to the gynecologist with Deja in order to check on the status of his daughter's virginity. And during Monday's episode of T.I. and Tiny, Deja reacted to the immediate fallout from her father's insensitive comments, revealing how she found out about what he said while scrolling through Twitter. Watch this.
And I see that I've been tagged in a post. The only word that I saw was gynecologist, and I didn't even need to read the whole title because I just knew. My heart sank. Very shocked, hurt, angry, embarrassed.
Deja added that T.I. had been going to the gynecologist with her since she was 14 or 15, explaining she couldn't have said no to him coming with her. Later in the episode, Deja got emotional while talking to her cousins about her relationship with her dad. Take a look.
I don't want to say I'm kind of just looking at him differently because of it.
Yeah. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Right.
I mean, I don't know. Really, I mean, like, more so our relationship. I'm going to look at it differently, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like this is going to put a strain over it? Come on.
No.
She also told her cousins that prior to all of this happening, their relationship was, quote, pretty decent. But after all of this, it's changed. That was her quote. Deja added that the whole situation has been traumatizing for her. Jason Tartick and Kaitlyn Bristowe might be on track to get married one day, but that doesn't mean they're willing to go through the process in front of an audience. Jason says that the producers of The Bachelor, the greatest seasons ever, provided him the chance to propose to Kaitlyn on the show. But as he told Entertainment Tonight, it took about a day of thinking for him to decide to turn down that opportunity. Jason appeared on Becca Kuprin's season of The Bachelorette in 2018, and Kaitlyn is an alum of both The Bachelor and The Bachelorette in 2015. And while Jason acknowledges that the show is part of their history, he says he didn't feel right proposing on a night that took them down Bachelor memory lane. He explained, "We don't need these stories to align in the same showing." And Kaitlyn tells ET she totally agrees. But while she had a feeling Jason wouldn't have done that anyway, she still felt a little anxious when host Chris Harrison said he had a surprise for her. But it was just an offer to appear on another show. Watch this.
Kaitlyn, will you be on the next season of Dancing with the Stars?
Yep, Kaitlyn will be on Dancing with the Stars soon. She was so excited, and I can't wait to see her in action. She's a great dancer. Meanwhile, the couple admits they have looked at rings together. Marriage seems to be something they both want soon, but they're on the same page that they want their proposal to be a private moment. And Jemima is undergoing a full rebrand to rectify its use of racial stereotypes. On Wednesday, PepsiCo's Quaker Oats announced that the label, Sina maple syrup bottles, pancake mix boxes, and other items will get a new name and image after 130 years. The revamped name has not yet been announced, though the new packaging is expected to hit stores by the end of the year. In his statement to Adweek, the vice president and chief marketing officer of Quaker Foods North America said, "We recognize Aunt Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype. While work has been done over the years to update the brand in a manner intended to be appropriate and respectful, we realize those changes are not enough." According to NBC News, the company is looking to make progress toward racial equality and taking a hard look at its portfolio of brands in order to ensure they reflect the company's values and meet their consumers' expectations. According to the brand's official historical timeline, Aunt Jemima dates back to 1890 and is based on a storyteller, cook, and missionary worker named Nancy Green. However, CNN Business reported that the brand is based on a song that was performed by slaves titled Old Aunt Jemima. The company's timeline says in 1989, the image of Aunt Jemima was updated to a contemporary look. The artwork added pearl earrings and a lace collar to her image. According to NBC News, Quaker will donate $5 million over the next 5 years toward causes that create meaningful, ongoing support and engagement in the Black community. A spokesperson for Quaker Oats and PepsiCo did not immediately respond to People's request for additional comments. Tyler Perry is our People cover star this week. It's all part of our 100 Reasons to Love America issue. In it, he pens an exclusive essay about racial injustice and the world he wants for a son, writing, "We must never give up." Tyler shared his essay in a powerful video that's 8 minutes and 46 seconds long, the same amount of time the disgraced Minnesota police officer's knee was on George Floyd's neck. Here's a look at Tyler reading his essay, where he explains why he initially said no to writing it.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from all the hate and the division and the vitriol that I see online and on television from one to another. I'm exhausted from seeing these kinds of senseless murders play out over and over again and nothing changing in our society.
Perry then remembers his own encounters with white police officers, from getting stopped and frisked as a teen going to school to getting pulled over by 2 white police officers. He writes he could have been a hashtag simply because he was driving a nice car. He reveals that he ultimately decided to write this essay for his 5-year-old son, Aman. Perry describes his son's joy and innocence and opens up about preparing to talk to his 5-year-old son about police brutality and racial injustice. Watch.
Looking at his young face, I often ask myself, how do I broach this conversation? How will I explain that even though Mr. Rogers once said, look for the helpers, sometimes those very helpers will judge his skin before they see his humanity? I know that as a father and a Black man in America, it is my duty to prepare him for the harsh realities that await him outside of the watchful eyes of his loving parents. It will be a hard, heartbreaking conversation, but one that I must have and I'm gonna have soon.
Perry acknowledges George Floyd's death and says, quote, "It moved a world, not just Black people, but all people." He tells us this is a sign of daybreak. He writes that he has never seen this level of galvanization of all races coming together to peacefully protest. He ends his emotional essay saying this.
It is my hope that as we continue these hard conversations and we come out of our respective corners to talk to each other, but most of all to hear, we gotta start hearing each other. So that this pain, this grief, this mourning in America will give way to mourning in America. Here's to every human being who is fighting for signs of daybreak.
And tomorrow, we will be bringing you more from our 100 Reasons to Love America issue, so tune back in for that. Sherri Shepherd stars in Netflix's Mr. Iglesias. It's a comedy series, but it also shows the struggles of minority students in the education system. Sherri opened up to me about what's going on in the country following the killing of George Floyd and what she hopes happens as the fight for racial equality continues. Take a look.
I think that, I don't want people to get into a complacency. I think that you have to step out of your comfort zone, and it's up to people like you to say enough is enough, because we as Black people have been screaming racism for so long. So we need other voices to be in this fight to say no. Even specifically in the arena that I'm in, to say, hey, why are there no people of color producing shows? Why are there no people of color being showrunners or producing segments or writing? And take that fight up. So please, come on, step up, say something, call out injustice, because you are going to hear things that I never will in rooms, because I'm a Black woman. As we see, people are getting fired left and right because of things that they say around people that look like them. And so I'm saying, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We gotta stay out of our comfort zone and speak up. Keep speaking up until we can make a change.
This has been a moment where it seems like we have some momentum. I know that I want to do my best to speak up whenever I can. Have you noticed a difference in the entertainment business with your white friends? Have you noticed movement?
I think, with my friends, I've gotten a lot of, I know walking my dogs, white people are very nice to me. They're really very, very nice. And it was nice before, but it's almost like a sense of, I didn't see you, and now I'm seeing you, and more wanting to have the discussion, and I'm seeing that from a lot of my friends of, Sherri, I didn't realize certain things were this way. And I'm going, well, I realize that it happens all the time. A Black mother's prayer is so different from another mother's prayer if you have a Black son or a Black daughter, because I tell my friends, my son is quirky and he's funny and he's shy. He likes the WWE and Teen Titans, and he wants a girlfriend. He just turned 15. He gives the best hugs. But there are people who won't care about that because they don't like the color of his skin. So they won't ever get to see the beautiful things. And so my prayer is I'm in fear and anguish, and I get depressed of how do I tell my son that, I just want you to be compliant, smile a lot so that you can come home alive.
All right, stay with us. We'll have more from our interview with Sherri Shepherd, including how she's been handling homeschooling her son and what she thinks dating will look like after the pandemic. Plus, singer Andrea Day is back with another uplifting anthem, Make Your Troubles Go Away. We'll hear from her about that and so much more. Katy Perry and fiance Orlando Bloom have been spending time at the beach as they count down to their baby girl's arrival. A source close to Bloom reveals that the couple have been traveling back and forth from their home in LA to Perry's hometown of Santa Barbara. The source says that while isolating in LA, Perry is still decorating the nursery and having fun with it. And although the couple's plans for a baby moon and a summer wedding were canceled because of the pandemic, they've gotten to spend more time with one another. The source also says that Perry is super excited about her baby girl and seems less stressed, but is definitely a bit more nervous about giving birth. During an appearance on the Graham Norton show back in May, Perry revealed that she had been learning to be a mom fast thanks to family members staying with her, including Bloom's 9-year-old son, Flynn, whom he shares with his ex-wife, Miranda Kerr. Perry added that although she is used to kids, she's still not used to being woken up really early in the morning by them staring at her from the side of her bed. Perry and Bloom have been dating since 2016 and announced her pregnancy in her Never Worn White music video, which debuted in March. Sources close to Kelly Clarkson and Brandon Blackstock are opening up in this week's issue of People about the couple's shocking split. After nearly 7 years of marriage, Clarkson filed for divorce on June 4th, citing irreconcilable differences. A source close to the couple says that it came out of nowhere. Their marriage was so strong. The source adds that Clarkson loved being a wife and having a big family. Sources point to busy careers that put a strain on their marriage, and tensions apparently came to a breaking point over the past few months while they self-isolated together at their Montana ranch. One source says it was a stressful time. Quarantining in Montana exacerbated any issues. The family moved from Nashville to Los Angeles last year when Clarkson landed her NBC talk show. When production for both that and The Voice shut down in March amid the coronavirus pandemic, the family headed to Montana. Even in isolation, Clarkson remained just as busy, working on an upcoming album and taping remote episodes of both shows. Now Clarkson is back in LA, where sources reveal she plans to stay for the foreseeable future. She's been living with her children in the home she put on the market last year, but took off 2 days before filing for divorce. Sources say that Clarkson wants to shield her children and stepchildren from the heartbreak of the split. She's been open about the emotional wounds that she suffered from her parents' divorce when she was 6 and is determined not to repeat their mistakes. A source reveals her priority is making sure her children grow up in a stable, loving environment. In this week's issue of People, we are taking a look at how Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, has quietly stepped up to fill the void left by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Sophie has been a working royal for more than 20 years and is considered exceptionally discreet and quietly dependable. Joe Little, the managing director of Majesty, tells us that she is a royal key worker and she is, quote, making a difference in a very understated, very Sophie way. The Countess recently teamed up with Kate Middleton to make a series of video calls to talk to and comfort nurses in 7 countries around the world during the coronavirus pandemic. She's also been rolling up her sleeves once a week and cooking meals for healthcare workers and hospital staff with the charity Meal Force. Her friend Peregrine Armstrong-Jones from Meal Force tells us that when Sophie leaves their kitchen, she generally goes to do more projects in different hospitals. A former staffer also tells us that Sophie has a simple connection with people when she meets patients and families, and as she thinks of it as, quote, scattering magic dust. And it's Sophie's groundedness that has earned her the allegiance of the Queen. A royal source says that she and the Queen are very close, and insiders consider her to be the Queen's favorite daughter-in-law. Sophie and Prince Edward married in June of 1999 and share 16-year-old daughter Lady Louise Windsor and 12-year-old son James Viscount Severn. The royal source tells us that Sophie is very family-oriented, and the Queen appreciates that.
Gabe, if I am going to be brave enough to not date for a bit, then I want you to find the courage to just dive back in. There's a really special woman who's being deprived of an awful lot of goodness.
Yeah, well, her name must be Waldo, because she's hard to find.
Sherri Shepherd plays Principal Paula Madison and stand-up comedian Gabriel Iglesias' boss in the Netflix sitcom Mr. Iglesias. She is so funny in this. She's also so funny in real life. We love her. Sherri joins me now. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for having me.
It's such a great, hilarious show. It looks like love is in the air for part 2. We hear you play Cupid to Gabriel Iglesias' character. So what can you tease about that? And what else are you excited for fans to see in part 2?
I am excited for them to see even more just shenanigans from the faculty and the students. They're all his band of misfit students. They're going to college. And he's trying to, really help them with their self-esteem. And he gets a love interest. And I just have to say, personally, I love Gabe because his love interest is Elora Casado. This is her first acting gig. They audition actresses that have big names, little cute size 2 actresses. And Elora, who plays his love interest, was working in wardrobe at the time. And she had done theater in New York, but she didn't have an agent. All of the stuff that people with big dreams have. And she was his wardrobe assistant. And our wardrobe head went to Gabe and said, could she just audition? And he was in the final rounds of picking someone. And he said, okay. And Laura came in and blew everybody away. And Gabe fought for her. And she is playing his love interest. They made her a regular on the show. She's so funny. And it just showed me what heart Gabriel has. And also on Elora's end, it only takes one person to believe in you. One person, that's all you need.
That is an incredible story. I actually didn't know that, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, she was so thrilled.
I love it. It does seem like the cast is a bit of a family, and Gabe is hilarious. You are hilarious. Is it just laughs all the time? Does it ever get out of control?
It gets out of control every single hour of the day. This is truly, I love going to work.
What would you say is the #1 thing you have in common with your character, and where are you very different?
I think the #1 thing I have in common with my character, Principal Paula Madison, is I'm such a mother. You can very much see my mothering skills. I don't take any stuff. I don't suffer fools. The thing that I'm most unlike her is, Paula's very judgmental, and she doesn't care. You're going down. And I think Sherri is the more compassionate part of Principal Paula Madison.
So if you weren't in this world acting in entertainment business, would you maybe be a teacher? Is that something you would see?
I thought about it until we got on quarantine and I had to become my son's teacher. That idea is gone. I want to get on my knees and bow down to every teacher in America and go, I didn't know you had to deal with this. I did not know. And so literally, if I'm not cooking for him 5 times a day, you know, he's coming to me with geometry. I don't know geometry. I dropped out at like algebra. I do basic math. Being a teacher is a hard job, and I salute every educator out there.
I do too.
Because I didn't know my son was like this. This boy he'll be in school twirling around just like this. What are you doing? This is a history class. Girl.
Yeah, no, I haven't done math since high school. I don't do math. I would be so bad at it. So I
don't know what n2 squared equals pi y s4. That's, you know what? Throw that mess in the garbage. Let's go get something to eat. And then he wants me to cook all the time. We had that yesterday. Why do we have it all the time? Because we are in a pandemic, boy. It is COVID. Because I know how to make prime rib. I know how to make prime rib with baked potato and a nice Sauvignon. But that's for a man that is going to take me out, not a 15-year-old. You don't get prime rib. You get a hot dog.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in your home because I just feel like you have this really fun relationship with your son.
No, literally, all you would hear is me going, watch your tone, watch your mouth, boy. I just want a daughter. Literally, I want a daughter just so I can do a TikTok video. He won't even let me do a TikTok video. I just really want to go, babe, come get me some, and you know, jump out of the. He won't even do that with me.
Another question about the show, though, you know, it is a comedy. However, it does also touch on some serious topics like struggles faced by minority students in schools. And I really love that it goes there. Why do you think this is such an important topic to talk about, especially these days?
Well, it is an important topic to talk about because you have people who are trying to get rid of affirmative action when, you know, typically doors are closed to us, and affirmative action is something that at least gives us a fighting chance opens the door and we get a fighting chance to do some things that, you know, our counterparts may have the opportunity to do that we don't. And I think it's so important because you're talking about economic depression, so many of these things, and they're doing it through the lens of humor.
Before you go, let's talk about Dish Nation. Congratulations, you're joining as a co-host. That's so exciting. How did this come about and what are you most excited about?
I'm very excited because I love pop culture. I love politics. You know, we would do a lot of politics on The View, and I used to fight to do pop culture on The View. But the ladies were really more politically, you know, driven. So to be able to sit at the desk with everybody and just do pop culture. I start my day off with Donald Trump and I end with Khloe Kardashian. There we go.
Yeah. Last thing, you posted on Instagram about the new normal of auditioning, pitching shows and ideas to network execs. And it just requires you to look great from the waist up. I mean, do you prefer this way? Because it's kind of nice sometimes.
I mean, you know, I have to wear really nice, like I have a really great top on, but literally I'm in my pajama bottoms right now. I am in my pajama bottoms with my little footsies. So I do like it, but I miss human connection. I would like to go on a date and not sit in my car and you sit in your car and we're talking through the window, because that's only cute for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, what's that first date gonna look like when we're all out of quarantine?
COVID test results. You know what I think is very sexy? If you tattoo your negative COVID results, you tested negative for COVID, you got a tattoo right there. Something to kiss. I love it. Oh, can I tell you about my podcast? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Tell me about your podcast.
I have a podcast with my partner, one of my besties, Kim Whitley, and it's called Two Funny Mamas. It's on YouTube, and we decided to get together during this quarantine and we talk all the time, 3 times a day, and everything is just through the lens of funny, but we talk about hot topics. I've turned it into my own personal view, and it's called Two Funny Mamas, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube.
Sherri, thank you. So everyone, Sherri's a lot going on. Check her out on Dish Nation, also Two Funny Mamas podcast, and you can catch her in Mr. Iglesias, Part 2, streaming now on Netflix.
Thank you.
Won't make your troubles go away.
Andra Day's powerful and uplifting new anthem, Make Your Troubles Go Away, is the perfect song for these trying times. I caught up with the Grammy-nominated singer, where she revealed that the song is actually from the archives. She wrote it back in 2013, but didn't release it until now. We talked about what inspired the song and why Andra feels hopeful about the future. Watch.
The inspiration behind it was just like a lot of things that I do, you know, prayer, you know, who we are as servants, you know, to each other. And really it was like a reminder of like, you know, how God loved me, how I've been loved by, you know, friends and by family members, and who've been so loving and so forgiving with me, and service, you know what I mean? How I desire to love people and to see people love each other. Like, you know, sometimes it's messy. Like, we have to get in there and we have to get our hands dirty. You know, we got to get in there with our hands and our feet, you know what I mean? And our mind, and not just our well-wishing. And I think that's the important part, is the well-wishing needs to be coupled with action. And to the point where, you know, yeah, we might be inconvenienced. It might be uncomfortable. And I think we're seeing a lot of that, which is really beautiful during this quarantine and during, you know, the coronavirus and all that. And so it's, yeah, I think I released it now to encourage people and to team up with this charity, Give Directly, as well, too.
Yeah, talk to me about Give Directly and your work with them, because I think that's really amazing that there's a cause attached to this song.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it was like, I didn't want to just release it to just release a song in the time, you know what I mean? Like, which is not bad, actually. So let me be very clear that I'm not saying that I'm against that, because I actually really appreciate artists who release music that encourage us and uplift us, or just make us feel good during this time. But for me, it was like, you know, it was just basically like, how can we get involved? You know what I mean? Like, how can we help people? Like, I don't have a bunch of stuff and I don't have a huge platform, but I have something, you know what I mean? And so that can be used. And so I was asking my manager about, like, we got to find, you know, I don't want to just, Rise Up was kind of moving again, because it always does in times like this. Which is such a blessing, but I was like, I don't really want to just promote. Rise Up's doing its thing. Like, I don't want to promote Rise Up. I don't want to, like, just because it's popping. So I was like, you know, I love this song. I've always loved this song, and I wanted to make sure that it was being used to serve, like it talks about, you know. And so he found this charity, Give Directly, and sent me the information. I looked at them. I loved them. I loved the concept. I loved the idea behind what they're doing. And it's so simple. Like, it really is its name. It's, you know, Give Directly. And I think during this time, like, there are really people who are choosing between food and shelter. You know what I mean? There are really people who are losing their homes. There are really people who are trying to make one meal stretch. You know what I mean? And so, like, for multiple kids. So I feel like there's a lot of red tape when it comes to other money and how to get it. And right now it's just like, people really just need help. You know what I mean? And they don't. And I love that they, you know, we just give you the money. Like, we don't need to decide for you what you do with your money. And I think there is such a level of, like, dignity in that and autonomy.
You're also starring as Billie Holiday in an upcoming biopic directed by Lee Daniels, which is also very, very exciting. I mean, talk to me about the transformation into Billie. That must have been a really cool transformation.
It's one that I'm still trying to work my way out of.
In what way?
You know, it's just like, I think, well, first of all, I was cast like a while before we actually started filming the movie. So to date, you know, and there's like still little things that we're doing with it here, you know, here and there, finishing things up too. So to date, it's been like, what, 3 years of being in this headspace and in this character and this person. And it's a heavy place to be in, you know what I mean? Like, she had a really rough life, but she was really loved by a lot of people, you know what I mean? And so the transformation was amazing. Lee, first of all, is like, just like a beast of a director. He just is, to me, one of the best. I mean, his performances that he pulls out of actors, even in his other movies that I've seen, I'm just like blown away every time. And then it was my first role, so I was so happy to be working with Tasha Smith. She was my acting coach. And Tom Jones was my dialect coach. And so they really, like, they worked hard, you know what I mean, with me, and to really go those places. And I really had, for me, I had to, like, live in that space, you know, because I'm not, like, you know, a trained actor yet, you know, hopefully we get there. But they have that muscle, you know what I mean, that ability to be able to be in or to be able to be out, or to, you know, and that's like, which is a gift. And so for me, I didn't think I had that muscle yet. So I was like, all right, I'll just have to abuse myself until I get it right. But I mean, the transformation was hard. It was heavy, you know, it was difficult on my team, the people around me. It was difficult on my family, but I think it was also really exciting, I think, for all of us, you know, and And it was a lot of work. You definitely, had to go some places emotionally that, you don't want to stay in, you don't want to live in, you know what I mean? But I think it worked. It seems like it worked. He was really happy.
These are obviously very trying times right now, and especially even doing press, sometimes it's hard to be excited about stuff. How are you doing with everything that's going on?
I think I'm the same about it. I feel like, but I'm hopeful. There's some things, and there's a lot of engagement from communities that we've not seen, in previous protests, and so I think we've seen the most engagement globally, I think, that we've ever seen before, and so the support is really, really exciting, and I'm just remaining hopeful, and continuing to do work and to sort of engage with different organizations on about what we can do, and continue the conversation. You know what I mean? It's really, I always think about this scripture that I read that says, what is done in darkness will come out to light. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that's a hopeful thing, because we have to get into those dark places, and we have to gut it, and we have to clean out the wound and allow it to actually heal, And if we don't, it just becomes infected and it's festering, and, there's nothing being done about it. It's just getting worse. And so, yeah, I'm hopeful.
Scott Turner Schofield is the first transgender man nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. And in this week's issue of People, he is opening up about his journey and how he's come to know his worth. Schofield tells us growing up in a small town, he, quote, didn't know I could be a trans man. I didn't even know we existed. Now he's showing the world he certainly does exist, and that he's just a man living his truth. Before his Daytime Emmy nomination for his work on Amazon Prime's Studio City, he got his big break in 2015 on The Bold and the Beautiful. He was the first openly transgendered actor in daytime television. He calls himself an accidental activist and uses his success to speak out on big issues. He tells us, quote, the last week in the news helps people understand the intensity of being trans. Schofield is referring to multiple headlines, including Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling's, quote, public essay disputing scientific facts about trans people. There was also 2 Black trans women murdered, making this year's total 14. And then there was the White House and what Schofield calls erasing, quote, protections for trans people in healthcare. But there are also the milestones. Schofield calls the Supreme Court's LGBTQ ruling on Monday a miracle and confirms that trans Americans deserve equal protection under the law. Schofield uses his voice and consults for HBO's Euphoria on trans issues, and his autobiographical short film, Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, debuted at the virtual Tribeca Film Festival last month. He says, quote, trans men are still invisible in Hollywood. My life story is worth telling. He says it's taken a while to know his worth, but there is a Hollywood ending for Schofield. He has been happily married to his wife, Tara Naomi, since 2017. All right, coming up tomorrow, Padma Lakshmi tells me about her new series, Taste the Nation, where she explores foods from various immigrant groups across the country. Plus, Bryce Dallas Howard joins us. She is making her feature film directorial debut with the upcoming Apple TV doc, Dads, just in time for Father's Day. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.